guys they're in the SEC. You know, they got a lot of talent. You know, they're a talented group, and you know we're going to do our best to go out there and try and play our best football because we have yet to do so, and you know that's our goal. You know, they're big, strong, talented guys, probably 5-star guys, right? You know, we don't have guys like that, so it's just a great opportunity for our guys up front, you know, our offense to go out there and, you know, like I said, just try and play our best football.
As each coach gets set, we'll start with an opening statement from each.
Excited about the game tomorrow. This is a big-time college football game. A great way to kick off 2024. They play extremely tough, smart, physical, great opponent, and looking forward to kicking off.
Hey, last day of prep in pads before we get it lined up and ready to hit them in the damn mouth. Everybody got me? Yes, take advantage, go win today. Big E, you got him. Exercise! Big Ten versus SEC. January 1 bowl game, playing for a ring. All right, playing for the most wins over a 3-year stretch in this program's history, dating back to 2003. All right, let's go take this thing at the end of the week. Play smart, play physical, play fast. Everybody got me?
This is John Ward, welcoming you to another presentation of Tennessee football on home video. The story you're about to see unfold is one of adventure and achievement. It's the story of teamwork, commitment, and the will to win.
Doesn't need a lot of... Oh! He took a weapon!
Welcome back to the Blue Chip Breakdown. Vols fans, Iowa fans, I guess, and everybody else. Happy New Year to everybody. This is the Tailgate show for the Citrus Bowl. This is going to be our last Tailgate show for the 2023 season. I know it's 2024 now, but this is it. Huge deal going on. Obviously, Nico, you know, we got to see some clips of him coming out, looking good. You know, he looks confident, looks like he's ready to rock and roll. We got some young guys coming out. Can't wait for this one. What are y'all's thoughts?
Yeah, can't wait. You know, first I'll just say this. You know, I think it was a you know, 23 was a great year. Okay, you know, didn't achieve what we wanted to achieve, but you saw this team get a little bit better in certain spots. We see Nico from week 1 to when we see him against Vandy. Looks like he's more in control, more in command, more comfortable, more ready to play. And I'm just excited to see him for a full 60 minutes. See what he does.
Rock 'em, sock 'em, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Case, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm ready to go out here and see these starters play. And probably can go out here to ball out. And like to see Nico like kind of go slinging around for 60 minutes without Salo.
Yes, sir. Right?
Oh, you got no thoughts? We already seen Nico.
Yeah. So I mean, for those of y'all who are new to this channel, you just wouldn't know that Bray is the only Georgia fan out of all of us, and he just saw his team go out and beat a, you know, FSU team that didn't really have anybody playing. We might touch on that some in this show. Some of these Georgia fans are kind of like beating their chest about that, but in this game, us as Vol fans, we're not. It's not just about winning, right? Because this is a game that we do fully expect to win in, and we do expect to dominate. It's more about seeing the future of this team, the future of this program, seeing these young guys getting out here and competing versus a defense that is ranked very highly. And I'm going to pull up these numbers right here. But as I'm just kind of like rambling off right here, I'm just going to tell you this. Iowa's defense, obviously, we all know, is ranked very highly, but does not mean that necessarily They can match up. Yeah, I mean, they don't play up against anybody. They can't necessarily match up versus us. I've never seen an offense that will spread you out like we're going to do and really try to see, hey, do y'all have the real athletes to be able to compete versus us or not? Well, we know that they don't. I've seen a whole lot of Iowa fans down in the comment section saying that their linebackers are 4'7", which, okay, yeah, maybe. But 4'5"? Dude, listen, okay, hey, we've been doing this for a long time. We know better than that. We can tell by how a man is standing up if he's going to be a baller or not. We watch the film. Those guys are nowhere near 4'5". They probably wish that, but they're nowhere near that.
Yeah, they got the even it's just like they say, my high school coach, he's got the quickest draw in the West, talking about the stop on the daggum stopwatch.
Yeah.
I got the coach over there telling him he's stopping it, 3 or 4 yards short of the line. But yeah, I mean, they don't have much team speed. They do play good sound fundamental football, which can kind of present itself as speed. Excuse me, can kind of present itself as speed because these guys are in the right place, right time. Everybody's kind of covering their assigned areas, which can kind of help a defense be able to smother you. But I mean, they don't have the athletes to keep up. We're going to put them in space, one island, Squirrel White, those guys, Chaz Nimrod. They're going to be open. We're going to have Dylan Sampson going against a light box, okay? Cam Sutton against a light box. Nico Imaiava doing some design QB runs against a light box. We're gonna kind of put their names to the test and see what type of athletes they really have out there.
Absolutely. Now, let me go ahead and get to this super chat right here. This is from Blackout Jones. Says, Happy New Year, Bull and P. Let's go. Go Big Orange. Thank you so much for that, Blackout Jones. You already know we got to play the clip. Appreciate that so much. Yeah, man. So this is a new year. That's something that Josh Heupel obviously has been talking to his football team about a lot, saying, hey, this is the first game of our 2024 season. A lot of folks now looking at the bowl games. We talked about this, maybe like a month or two ago. Hey, these games, if you're not in the playoffs, this is like an exhibition. This is like, hey, let's see what our young guys, let's see what the future of our team is. Tennessee's very fortunate that we've done a good job out there in the 2023 class. And obviously 2024, we're not going to get to see those guys, but we've got some good players out there. We're anxious to see them play. Now, let me do like a big picture view, right? Because we just talked about Iowa's defense being ranked so highly, facing these Big Ten offenses that we all know aren't great, especially in that Big Ten West. They haven't seen anything like us. What is Iowa going to try to do to us on defense? Well, we know that they've probably watched some clips. I mean, I'm sure that they've watched plenty of clips of Nico. They know that he's a mobile guy. They know that he can sling that football. They know that our offense will spread them out. We're going to isolate you. We're going to try to go deep. So for me, I'm thinking that we're going to see a whole lot of cover two. Probably won't see a whole lot of, maybe you'll see a couple of blitzes early on just to see how Nico can handle that. But for the most part, they're just going to try to contain Nico, keep him inside of that pocket, and maybe try to throw him off with some different, this looks like cover three, but we're going to hurt him, flip it and switch it to cover two. I think we're going to see a lot of deep zone versus Iowa. It's going to be a huge game for Dylan Sampson, Cam Selden, that offensive line, those guys, tight ends, because we're going to have to be able to work down that football field. And hopefully, I'm thinking that once we get kind of close to that 20-yard line mark, expect to see some shots. Really, once we get past that 50, expect some deep shots, because a team that plays as disciplined as Iowa does, it's going to be a lot more difficult to be able to score in that red zone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I'm saying. Oh, yeah, I was going to say absolutely, because obviously the field gets smaller. So now when you do have those 4-7, 4-8 guys, it's less field for them to cover. They obviously can play faster, right? But I think, just like you said, man, Dylan Sampson getting that run game going, Cam Selden, are we going to be able to really work him into this rotation early as well? Get him some carries, get him some touches, and make Iowa really respect the run game. Put more guys in the box, challenge them to only go single high, and really open up pass game for Nico, give him wider kind of throwing lanes. But I mean, I truly think Nico will be fine regardless, kind of how they play him. But I am interested to see, does Iowa come out, try to stop the run early, or do they, like you said, kind of sit back, kind of respect Nico, and challenge us to run the ball on him, since they do have a supposedly, a pretty good run defense in the Big Ten.
Yeah, so this is something else that I'm just kind of thinking is that, Nico has spoke about not really having to read coverages when he was in high school. And so he's learned that since he's been on campus. He's been here from bowl to bowl, came here last season, right around this time. for the Orange Bowl. So he is not still a true freshman. Now he's pretty much a sophomore. He's been acclimated to the system. And at this point, and he even said it himself, he understands how to read defenses a lot better. Iowa, we even heard, I think the offensive coordinator speak on this. He said, well, Tennessee's defense is going to be multiple in their fronts. It's not like us. We just kind of do what we do. Right. See what I'm saying? Yeah. So we will know, or, Nico will know as a young man that is, just starting to kind of learn how to read coverages. He's going to be able to identify what Iowa is doing. I think he's going to have a big showing today. We talked about this too, Pete. We feel like this game is going to be a showcase for this football team, for this program, for the other guys that we, are courting and we want to add to this roster. They come out and see, obviously, we've got some veterans playing up front. We've talked about that as well. And, they see those guys blocking, how they can hold up for Nico. And, oh, by the way, we're missing two of our studs up front. But Nico comes out, balls out, has a really big game. I think that, the guys like Evan Stewart's, the guys like Tate Ratledge, who we are kind of anticipating could potentially be a guy that will, maybe will be joining this roster. We'll see, in the next about 24 hours. So I feel like we're going to be just fine. Nico is going to have a really big game. Now, he will make some mistakes because he is still a freshman. This is his first start. This is a very fundamentally sound defense, but I feel very confident coming into this game.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, you just don't want to see him look like the freshman that got in for Ohio State the other night. Two freshmen. I mean, these guys are the same age, both two freshmen. Is Nico going to be freaking heads and shoulders above that kid? Because that kid got in the game. We talked about this off air. It seemed like he hadn't taken any reps all season. I mean, I know you're a third-string guy, but you're the backup at this point because McCord had already transferred out for Ohio State, and this kid comes in and he just, they couldn't do anything offensively against Mizzou. Obviously, you don't expect Nico to look like that. You expect him to look like a guy that's been there. Like you said, he's pretty much a sophomore now. He's I feel like we do a great job developing our quarterbacks. And, he's been the backup. He's been one play away from going in all season. So you have to figure he's ready for this moment and ready to come in here and light it up. And I'm just kind of anxious to see kind of what the play call looks like for Coach Heupel. Is he going to be kind of conservative? Is he going to let this guy sling it? Does he open it up? We look a little more like 2022? I mean, what's it going to look like? I'm just anxious to see it. And like you said, man, I think people watching Nico play today, I mean, the Evan Stewart's, all these guys that are looking for a new home, I mean, I think they're going to be impressed, and all the more reason to come here because he's got at least 2 more years in the Orange and White.
Absolutely. So you said a whole lot with that. You had a whole lot of good clips with that one right there. So let me just try to take it all the way back, right? Okay, so number one, I think that I don't know what the viewership has been for all of these bowl games, but I do think that this is the game. If you are the casual fan, you're waiting on, these playoff games to get started. Are you going to be watching LSU versus Wisconsin? You'll probably start that off. That one started at noon. Take that up until 1 o'clock. The other game at 1 is Oregon versus Liberty. Do you want to watch that, or do you want to watch, Tennessee versus Iowa, SEC versus Big Ten, which is pretty much going to end up being those 2 conferences, okay? So I think that there is a whole lot of reason to watch it for those reasons. But obviously, you've got another young quarterback out here that's been a whole lot of hype around. And really, whenever you talk about NIL, Tennessee kind of really set that precedent with Nico, offering him that $8 million. Now, I think that was actually very planned out because if I'm not mistaken, he wore number 8 in high school. I think that they said, hey, there's no real set numbers here. We're going to offer you $8 million just to let you know, hey, doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, we're just going to spitball, throw a dang number out there. This is Tennessee, baby. And we set the stage. Now it's chaos. So I think that there is a whole lot of hype around that. But then, too, whenever you talk about it, you had those captains going out there at that coin toss. If Tennessee wins it, are we going to take the football first, or do you think that we're going to go on defense first?
Well, Heupel, he strikes me as a guy that he wants to kind of set the tone, and he may want to go offense first. I really don't know. I don't know how you play it. I don't mind getting the ball first and going down here and showing, especially when you're playing against a good defense, okay? I want to go out here and freaking put your name to the test, first chance I get. So I want to go offense, go right on the field on you, put up 7 points. But typically you see coaches will defer. But, heck, either way, man, I'm excited to see it. I think Nico goes for – that's a good question for you guys. So what's y'all's prediction for Nico's stat line today? You think it throws any touchdowns today?
Oh, yeah. I'd say 19 for 24.
Nice.
Okay, we go. You know what? Might as well. 4-15, 4 touchdowns, no picks.
Wow. Hey, I wouldn't be surprised if this Iowa team is who we think they are.
No picks. They have no speed. No. That's
I wouldn't be surprised. What do you think is going to do there?
Who, Nico?
Yeah, you think he's going to do anything?
Oh, yeah, I mean, he's going to sling the ball around the field and he's going to throw it. Lead every single pass. I mean, their defense is actually kind of overrated. So, we should be able to do whatever we want out there on offense. So, yeah, I got Nico, throwing. I don't know. But,
Do you think he's going to throw for more than 300 yards? And how many touchdowns do you think How many touchdowns do you think Nico's going to have?
probably I'm thinking about probably 19, like you said.
What, 4?
Yeah, 4.
4? Okay, yeah. I could most definitely see that too, Pete.
Mm-hmm.
What you think?
Yeah. Well, I put on Twitter. I think he's going 20 of 27 for 312. I think I'm going for 3 touchdowns through the air and probably 1 on the ground. So 4 touchdowns. Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's going to have a really big day. I don't know. I definitely think he goes over 300 yards. And I do think that he will have over 3 touchdowns. Or, I think he'll have at least 3 touchdowns, whether it's all passing, maybe some running as well, just because he is a very fast football player. A lot of times people don't understand how fast Nico is because he's so long, takes those long strides. It doesn't like he's running as fast, but we saw that, I think, in the Polynesian Bowl, where, he's playing up against a whole bunch of 5-stars, blue chip players, see him scramble out for 40, 50 yards. And I mean, he just skates, man. He just glides. He's so graceful. He's so smooth. I think he's going to have a really big day, but it really does all start up front and with that offensive line. So, whenever we're asking about what the play calling looks like, that's kind of why I brought up, do we take the football first? I think that we'll probably go on defense first if we do win that toss. Let the defense set the tone for us early on because we know that Iowa doesn't have a great offense. We'll get into that in just a minute. But offense isn't great for Iowa. Defense, I think that they match up very well versus Tennessee's defense. 3 and out, let Nico kind of come out there. First play, do you think it's maybe play action? Let him sling it. Do you think it's a run play? What do you think?
I think that's usually what you do with new quarterbacks. You either let them throw a shot on the first play because the drilling's high, or you give them a designed QB run, let them take a hit, something like that. Or you do something, quick little something he's comfortable with, quick screen, something like that. But yeah, I mean, heck, I'd go to the house, play number 1.
Yeah, I think we'll probably see a whole lot of those screens and things like that. But, like I said, once we get past that 50, I do expect for us to start taking some shots because I don't care if Iowa – we have to find ways, and Josh Heupel has done this. He did it with Hendon Hooker. Did not do it a whole lot with Joe Milton, but you've got to find ways to still be able to hit those deep shots regardless of the coverage that the other team is playing. You've got to impose your will on the defense. Excuse me, and I think we're going to be doing that today. So let's move on to defense here really quickly. Let's see what's going on there, right? So as we talked about, Iowa's pretty much dead last in every single category on offense. Tennessee's defense stacks up very well versus what Iowa likes to do. They like to run the football. We like to stop the run, and we're good at it. We heard guys like Bryson Easton coming out saying, hey, everybody up front, he said, hey, we can't wait for this one. You know what I'm saying? He's like, hey, look, we're looking forward to this in the trenches. Guys, anybody who really plays football, especially if you played it for a long time, as you kind of get further up in playing, a lot of it can be, it's like mental. It's a whole lot of different stuff that offenses do that can kind of throw you off mentally. Whenever they just line up and play straight up and down football, you just love it because, like, hey, this is like, whenever it was playing rec football, whenever it was 8, 9, 10 years old, let's go out there, line up, and just let the best athletes dominate. Let's go play. Pete, what do you see out of this defense?
Just like you said, man, this is the type of the game you freaking pin your ears back. You're downhill. Ain't too much trickery. I mean, you're just gonna pin your ears back, strike them. So we should have our way with these guys. They don't do much offensively. They're gonna get in daggone power eye. They get in the gun too, but they don't do a ton out of it. Okay, I mean, we've seen them kind of their most dynamic things they do. They'll do like a jet sweep. It's like seriously stuff like that. They'll send a guy in motion, give him a jet sweep or something like that. There's not much wrinkle to what they have to do. So this is a game where, don't be surprised if Elijah Herring has a good game today because it's just straight up, hey, power eye, read the fullback, and go freaking meet him in the hole. I think he can do that. I think he's built for that type of football. So, we're gonna get to see the young guys in the secondary, Ricky Gibson, see him, and that's a big question mark for me. This to me, I'm honestly not even worried about. And maybe I'm overlooking these guys. I'm not even really worried about the game on the field. I more so want to see, hey, are we going to get guys like John Slaughter in the game?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get, Jordan Matthews in the game, some of these guys. Get these young guys in, give these guys a chance to play. But I think we'll be fine. I don't see them really doing much at all unless offensively.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really tough. And P, like you said, they are a run-first team, but they're pretty balanced. I think that they're, like 50-50. Oh, well, no. I'm sorry. They're 58% run, and the rest of that is pass. Their entire passing game is pretty much to their tight ends. Their leading wide receiver is a tight end, and I think that the leading guy isn't even playing in this game. He's only got like 200 yards. So they're not very productive in the passing game. You're going to see a whole lot of play action, boots, naked boots, things like that can kind of throw off some guys like Herring. We've seen him kind of fall for that, for that window dressing. Yeah. But I do think that with all this time that he has had to get ready for this football game, for this entire season, that we've been coaching him up, teaching him, hey, don't fall for this. These are the things that you look for. These are the keys that you need to read. I think he's going to read them well in this game. So to me, he will be the biggest question mark on defense, him, and then turn time playing safety. Mm-hmm. You got to come up and play physical. It's another thing we've talked about a lot on this channel. Everybody's got to play a physical brand of football. Mm-hmm. Those are the only two guys that I'm a little bit concerned about. But for the most part, I think we're going to be very, very dominant here. Now, Iowa is going to come out with some trick plays, and I talked about this as well. The Big Ten teams versus SEC teams, they've heard this whole narrative of, they're playing up against teams with a whole lot more speed. These Big Ten teams are a little bit slower. So they come out early on and they try to hit those big chunk plays. They're going to have some trick plays. They're going to have a couple of more wrinkles than what we've seen on film, but it just is not going to be enough to really be able to put up as many points as you would hope for Iowa to be able to win this game. Mm-hmm. And that's why I feel like Tennessee is going to really be able to run away with this one. A whole lot of 3-and-outs for Iowa and a whole lot of touchdowns points scored for Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, we know that's in this game will be won. We'll be it's early on. If we're winning the line of scrimmage, especially on defense, if they can't run the ball, they're going to really try to open it up. And I still feel confident, even with the true freshman Ricky Gibson out there and Gabe Drew-Lally. I feel confident in those guys' ability to lock down their receivers. Like you said, 200 yards is their leading guy. That's a tight end, I believe. Mm-hmm. I feel confident in taking McCullough back there, being the quarterback one last game.
Yep.
Love what he's given for Tennessee. And then, like I said, turn time's he is the only weak link in that secondary. They really don't know what he's going to give you. But I think he'll be good enough in this game. Mm-hmm. And that's why I to my point I made earlier is I want to see, will Coach put in a guy like John Slaughter? Will he give these young guys a chance?
Yeah.
And that's why this game, to me, is going to be different than what we've seen from Heupel pretty much not only this season, but his whole 3 years here at Tennessee. Is he going to not play the young guys? I think this is a game, we've talked about it, and people are really starting to come, kind of catch wind of it. This is a game for 2024, okay? Yeah. This is you talk about week 0, this is week negative, okay? This is week negative for 2024 season. Let's get the young guys in here. The Ricky Gibsons, he's going to play obviously, but Jordan, get the young guys in, and that's the big thing for me in this game.
For sure. Well, and then Christian Harrison, that's a guy that we've kind of been, what is he going to do now? Obviously, we've talked about this. AJ Harris, who is a cornerback from Georgia, he was in last year's class. He was the number 2 cornerback. He is a physical presence, 190 pounds. We are trying to get him. I think that Auburn might be the favorites for this. He's from Phoenix City. So, a lot of guys from that area go to Auburn. This is something, one of my college guys told me. He said, hey, man, if you live in, Alabama, you either go to Alabama or you go to Auburn, so it's hard to get those guys out of the state. But anyway, it sounds like he wants to play safety. Okay, so we already brought in a safety in Kobe Thomas, who we love. And then we've also got John Slaughter, who we love. I think that to me, those are the two front runners to be able to win out right there. Can he come in and play star? What's that do to a guy like Jordan Thomas, who we're going to be watching him today to see what he can do? But saying all those things just to say that we're trying to upgrade in that secondary. So we've got to see what people have in live game situations. Yeah. And, so I do expect to see a whole lot of these young guys get some burn. And I also expect for them to have a really, really big game. We'll probably get some turnovers in this one. Okay, we're going to be going after the football. I honestly believe, just from watching these guys play, that we can bait them. We can, what I'm saying? We can kind of be like Deion Sanders, where, hey, I'm going to act like this guy's open, but I'm going to bait you because I'm so much faster than you. And I know that I can still make a play on that ball. These guys are going to be trying to make plays. They're going to be swiping at that football, trying to get some fumbles, interceptions. I think that we can get a few of those in this game. And it's just going to be up to the coaching staff to decide who are the best guys moving forward. And, we'll see a whole lot after this one. Who's going to stay, who's going to go, in that spring window once this portal opens back up. But very, very interested for, what's coming up here. Now, let's see what else we got. So those are the schedules. Do y'all want to get into LSU versus Wisconsin here real quick? I've got the, stats up here just, real quick. You see, LSU's offense is one of the best in the entire country. Wisconsin's defense is, they look average here. But I do think that LSU is going to be able to put up a whole lot of points.
Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels isn't playing. Go ahead.
They got but there's two receivers, Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas. They are playing. Okay. And their backup quarterback, he looked pretty good last year versus Georgia in the SEC championship. So I feel like they'll still be able to put up points.
Yeah. I mean, don't really know much about Wisconsin. I know they're in the Big Ten West, I believe, of Iowa. I think them and Iowa. I think that was a pretty close game. I think it was like 10-7 or something like that, like low scoring game. Yeah. LSU should win. I don't care.
I saw a stat today about Iowa. It was like they've went under in like almost every game they played this year. Something crazy like that.
Yeah, I mean they've got one of the worst offenses in the entire country. So now we're also going to talk about LSU's defense versus Wisconsin's offense. We know that LSU's defense has not been good. Their total defense is ranked number 101 in the entire country. Just to give y'all some reference, scoring defense is number 76. Passing defense is number 100. Rushing defense is number 90. They're number 59 in team sacks, but Wisconsin is, number 73 in team offense, number 101 in scoring offense, number 86 in passing, number 32 in sacks given up, and number 57 in rushing. That's where I think it's going to get kind of interesting at, because of Wisconsin's brand of football. You talk about Big Ten ball versus, SEC ball. I just think that it's going to be really tough for them to find those big plays, right? Versus even though LSU is not ranked very highly, I think that it's going to be tough just because they are a much more talented football team. So I think that that's a game that LSU should have a whole lot of success in. Yeah. Now, let's just real quick, we can kind of get into the playoff picture. We've talked about this a whole lot. Rose Bowl, Alabama versus Michigan. I'm just going to scroll through these stats right here. Bray, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of, you can just make it quick, but, what do you think about this one?
I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's, two teams that, are really good, obviously. See how Michigan, kind of draw stuff up with their offense. It's a lot of straightforward, so that'd be interesting. But I like Michigan. I don't know. I just got a gut feeling I like Michigan. I think they come out, be able to run the ball. And, I like Michigan in this one.
Okay. So, actually, Case, because I know that, you are a half Michigan fan, half Vol fan. So what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I got Michigan on this one. I'm expecting it to be a pretty close game because, I know Alabama is pretty good too. Yeah. So, I got it done probably like 35-34. Well, I mean, not 35-34, but 35-32 Michigan.
I like that, yeah.
Man, high scoring. Everything about this game says Bama should freaking dominate this game, in my opinion. I think on paper this is a 42-6 type of deal, but I just got a feeling something about it. I don't know. I just thought Michigan's going to pull this thing out. I think they're going to have enough plays dialed up. I think they're going to be able to do some things defensively, maybe force some turnovers. Jalen Milroe. I think they're going to get this thing done. I got Michigan pulling this one out. I think it'll be similar score. I think it'll be probably like 28-31 type game, something like that. 28-32, something like that.
Okay. Yeah, y'all already know how I feel about this one. I think I think that Alabama is gonna roll in this one. I'm not cheering for them. Obviously, as Tennessee fans, we don't like Alabama, but I don't particularly care for most Michigan fans. Obviously, I've got my family here. I love my family. They're not like this, but a whole lot of the Michigan fans are just very arrogant, and I'm not quite sure why. You know what I'm saying? Because what have you done recently? I honestly think that, and y'all might call me crazy, but I honestly think that Tennessee would beat Michigan. I think that Tennessee has a better football team than Michigan does. I think that they're so overrated. I think that all the Big Ten teams are very overrated, especially this season. And I just don't see them matching up well at all versus Bama style of play. It just fits into Alabama's hand so much. You play smash mouth football, straight up and down football, whenever you are the more talented football team. That's something that Tennessee got by with for years with Coach Foreman. Hey, we had better guys than you. It was no secret what we were going to do. And honestly speaking, I hate to bring this up. That's kind of why, guys like Spurrier was able to beat us, because his offense was kind of like cutting edge, and they also had some really good players as well. So that's why they were able to beat us. But everybody else, you had to be able to match up with us physically to even have a chance. And if you didn't, then you were going to get blown out. I feel like this is kind of like back in the day, right? Us versus Georgia. Us would be Bama. Georgia would be Michigan. It's almost the exact same thing. Like you are literally seeing a team that is just outmatched, and there's nothing that they can do to stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty shocked that Michigan's 1.5 point favorite here.
Yeah, I honestly think that is a whole lot of Vegas playing into the hand of Michigan fans, because if you watch, the most watched, or if you look at the most watched games this season, it was Big Ten teams. Okay, it was the Buckeyes, it was Michigan. They've got some rabid fans that, just love their team. They've got a whole lot of them. So I think that they're just playing into that hand. But if you actually watch these two teams play, if you, even listen to some of these other analysts, they're all like, they don't really see a way for Michigan to win either. I feel like we were some of the first to kind of come out and be that, or at least me, be that one-sided with this game. But I did have a really good question right here, asking about the guy that just committed to LSU.
Derek McKinney.
Yeah. So, yeah, Dominic. So, I think that he was, I think he is a good football player. I always thought that he was going to LSU. I said that a lot of times on this channel. You can just kind of tell, but I do think Tennessee came in second place. There's nothing to be proud of at all. But I feel like in that 2025 class, we've got to go out and get some defensive tackles, especially. I would not be surprised if we try to bring in 3 to 4 guys in that class. We've got to allocate, spend a whole lot of money, from the high school ranks, and then also in that transfer portal to shore up those guys up front, because I feel like that's an arms race that we are losing versus, obviously teams like Alabama. Georgia's doing a good job of it too. I hate to say it. Texas is doing a really good job of it too. To me, those are the top 3 teams. Who's going to be that 4th team? Ole Miss can kind of fake manufacture, go get some guys out of the portal and kind of get them, get their names into that mix. But, Lane Kiffin's probably going to be leaving. I feel like Tennessee has got to increase the amount of studs that we have in the middle of our defense moving forward. So that's going to be a big thing to watch for the 2025 class. Now, let's go ahead and move on to the next game, which is Washington versus Texas. We talked about this one a whole lot too. Washington has an offense, and the closer that we get to this, the more I'm starting to, I can really see Washington pulling this thing out. But what are y'all's thoughts on this one?
Man, this is the game of the day. I think it's such an even matchup. I think both teams have different strengths, different weaknesses that just makes for a great matchup. To me, this has a similar vibe to the Washington-Oregon games. I think it's going to be like a high-scoring, like one-score game. I think it's going to be, high 30s, something like that. I don't know. I'm going back and forth on this one too. I do see a scenario where Texas's defense is too much for Washington, but at the same time, Washington has NFL receivers. They have an NFL quarterback. They have a pretty good O-line. They have good running back. They have good guys. I think they'll be able to move the ball. I think they'll find ways. And I think they'll finally pull it out. I kind of feel like Washington's kind of team destiny this season.
Yeah.
And I think they'll pull it out. I got Washington win this one 42-38.
Absolutely. So, Bray, before you go, I just want to let y'all know that we will be touching more on the Vols here in just a minute, but we want to kind of get this out of the way. So stay tuned. We are going to get right back to our Vols. But Bray, what are your final thoughts as we are, leading into the countdown for the Sugar Bowl?
I think it'll be closer than I said the last video, but I still think Texas pulls it out. I just think they got too much time. I feel like that D line, I feel like they're gonna be able to create pressure on Penix, and I just feel like they're not really gonna be able to stop Texas offense, like start scheme stuff up. They got a good running game. Clint Ear's gonna come ready to play. Now he does scare me sometimes, but I like Texas.
Okay. You kind of out of the picture. Go ahead, Kiss.
Oh, I got Texas on this one. I know Washington's a good team. They actually haven't really played against no teams, except for the Oregon and other teams like that. Kind of. They're not a good team, but Washington's a good team. Coming out the Pac-12 for Washington. I saw them. Just like Colorado and teams like that. They really pulled it out good, and but I got Texas on this one though. I don't really got a score, but I just got Texas on this one.
Yeah, so I like what everybody said right here. So, again, if this is your first time on this channel, you haven't kind of already heard where I was at with it to start it off. But Texas, I felt like up front, especially on defense, would be too much for Washington's offensive line. And as we've kind of gotten closer to it, I'm looking at Washington's scheme. They do a whole lot of, well, they don't do a whole lot, but they can go hurry up. Okay, so that hurry up will kind of, it tires out those big guys up front. So, excuse me. Excuse me. So that right there could play in Washington's hand, but at the same time, if you look at Washington's scheme blocking wise, they do a whole lot of. It's not about necessarily moving bodies. It's just about getting in people's way. It's kind of like wall somebody off, using your speed, using your quickness to wall these guys off. And I do think that will work early on for Washington. But at the end of the day, I do still think that Texas can pull it out. I think that they will be able to kind of start to figure things out because there's only so many ways that you can move your offensive linemen before the defense starts to figure it out. I don't know if this is a game where Texas and Washington or either or will be using those iPads on the sidelines, but I think that that's a big deal. I don't think Tennessee's using it. I don't understand why. Like I know that we're not going to be using the like microphones and stuff. No SEC team is, but I hope that everyone does use those iPads on the sideline because it helps you out so much. So if Texas is using that, I do think that they'll be able to figure it out a little bit more quickly because sometimes guys are visual learners. You see it, oh, okay, this is what they're doing. This is where I should have been. Now let me get there just a little bit quicker. And I think that at the end of the day, regardless of the fact that I do feel like Washington can score on Texas, I think that Texas can win. But I'm also kind of, like Quinn Ewers is a guy that I don't really trust him. He's kind of, I said this before, it's kind of like a wild man, kind of puts the ball into some trouble spots. So it'll be interesting to see if he can play calm, cool, and collected and, pretty much just manage his football game. Is Texas's run game going to be good in this one? I think that it will be versus Washington's defense. So at the end of the day, I've got Texas winning in a shootout. Should be a whole lot of fun. Now, back to Tennessee. I've got some questions and, some comments about our guys, playing some of these all-star games. I'm gonna tell you this. We've talked about it, right? Jordan Ross is a guy that looks like he's a guy. Looks like he's a stud. P, you actually said, hey, I think he's close to James Pierce's size. I think that he is too now. He's gained a lot of weight. We're seeing him winning with ease versus these blue chip players. And I'm talking about with ease, however he wants.
Yeah, man, he's man, I tell you what, he's everything you want in a defensive pass rusher. I think we said this before. We might have said about James Pierce, but same we said about Jordan Ross. He rushes the passer similar to how I imagine I'd rush the passer.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like how a skill guy imagines they rush the passer. Like he
Yes.
rushes that way. He makes it look as easy as you think it should be.
Right.
And he has quickness, he has strength, he has size. We watched a clip of him doing one-on-ones in the All-Star game in practice, and it seemed like the D-line coach, told him something right before that snap, and then he went and did it, and then got the D-line coach probably was like, "Woo, that's it, perfect." So it seems like he's coachable, good kid, stay loyal to his commitment.
Yeah,
man, I love what I see from him so far.
Absolutely. Did you want to chime in on that?
Hey, you have anybody you want to talk about? No?
From anybody from that game? Or
Well, no. So hold on. So let me go back to Jordan Ross. I think, honestly speaking, guys, we're looking for that strong side defensive end. I mean, I don't want to get too far ahead right now, but from what I've been seeing in these clips, he's a guy that could really be pushing to get some very serious playing time right there. I mean, either there or on that weak side. I think that, he is like a James Pierce prototype. I'm not going to – he is very, very close. He's really close. Yeah. Again, we have to see him versus, college football players, SEC players. He's going to have a whole lot to learn, but just looking at where he's at right now, oh, my goodness.
He's the most talented pass rusher on that roster. Now, doesn't mean he's the best.
But his ceiling, yes. I think his ceiling is higher than James Pierce's.
Already.
And I know that is a very bold take, but I do. I think his ceiling is higher than where James Pierce's is. Now, we can also talk about a guy like Mike Matthews. Same deal. He's not playing, in those trenches, but exact same deal. He's winning with ease. Like you see him running his routes, he's smooth. And I mean, he's breaking folks. What's your guy? You know, I mean,
Yeah,
who's your guy? Ellis Robinson? Ellis Robinson, dude, hey, he broke him in half in a round, dude. You made him look silly. Now, that was a very poorly thrown football, and, you know, Mike kind of tried to style it a little bit. He was like, you know, he jumped up, and it was almost like midair, he kind of, you know what I'm saying? It just barely missed.
One clip where he was running, I think, like a comeback, and he just pushed the dude.
And that's the most physical corner that was there. The guy going to Texas.
Xavier Flem's.
Phil's aim or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, it gets jacked. I don't know how big he looks pretty jacked. Just throws him down.
Man, look, Mike Matthews he's a dog. I mean, he's a real dog. Literally. I'm telling you, he's another one. Him, Braylon Staley, we've heard a whole lot of good things about him too. Whenever, you know, we watch their films, we're like, well, look, man, Mike Matthews, Braylon Staley, they're like neck and neck. I mean, they're very similar football players. I think that if, you know, Braylon Staley was doing the one-on-ones in this same all-star game practice, he would look very similar. I think he would be, you know, equally as dominant. We've got two real studs coming in as true freshmen in this wide receiver room. Guys, the ceiling is so high right now. And, you know, again,
the guy I forgot to talk about, he's on defense for Caleb Beasley.
Well, I mean, we didn't forget. We just haven't got to him yet. But I'm just talking about offense. Yes, okay. But Caleb Beasley, you can tell that he's got some technical things that he needs to work on, but he will be able to get that ironed out. Once you kind of get, you know, on campus, you have so many reps and your technique gets so good because every little small detail, false step, they're going to correct it, and he's going to benefit from that tremendously. But if you just look at his upside, if you look at his skill set, he's another one, I think, in that class that could potentially come in and play very, very early.
Oh, yeah, man. He looks good. I mean, you see him get beat in the one-on-ones. If you watch practice clips from All-Star games, getting beat in one-on-ones. But like I said, it's simple technique stuff. He's playing press man. And, you know, if you know anything about playing press man, first thing you know is you got to get your hands on the guy. And he's not doing that. He's literally press man, and he's just opening up the gate, as we call it, letting the guy run right by him, which you're at a huge disadvantage anytime you do that, for those that don't know. Because you're facing this way, the receiver's facing that way, and you're giving him basically a head start, just full speed sprint. And that's almost impossible to play. And even with that poor technique, he's still in good position on all his passes. You know, you can tell his feet look good. You can tell his little pigeon toe, or something you kind of look for. He's got that pigeon toedness to him, which means he can change direction. He has a strong lower half, looks like. So, yeah, we like his upside a lot. I think he'll come in. I still think he'll factor in year one. It's just, you know, big question, and me and Daddy were talking about this earlier. Willie Martinez, you know, is he going to actually coach him and get him better? Is he going to get him better and get his technique issues, corrected? Because, I mean, if Caleb Beasley isn't a stud, that's 100% Willie Martinez. Yeah, he has all the ability, all the tools.
Yeah. Well, so I think that even old Coach Willie Moe, I think that, you know, even what he will teach is going to be it's going to help Caleb Beasley out, because he is like, he's almost, I don't want to call it a blank canvas, but it's almost like that. Like once he gets on campus, they will kind of, okay, you know, we can see where you're wrong at. Pretty much, we're just going to start it all the way over and just kind of build you back up from scratch. But he will jump exponentially, and he's going to be a very good football player. He's another one that could fit in at star. He could fit in at safety. He's going to be a very versatile football player. Really looking forward to it. And obviously, you know, we're going to be seeing some more of our guys as time goes on. I know that Under Armour game is January the 4th? Yeah. January the 4th. So, you know, we should be able to, you know, we'll have some, you know, film breakdown of all these guys kind of as time is going along. But we've got 15 minutes until kickoff, everybody. You know, love y'all, man. We'll probably be back with the post-game show. You know, we'll probably have, you know, like some Nico breakdown, all that type of stuff coming in the next couple of days. But we're very excited for this game. We can't wait. We've got to find our seat. We've got to get ourselves together. We know that y'all have to do that exact same thing. But thank y'all so much for rocking with us, for tuning into this channel. As always, please consider becoming members of this channel. If you do want to see some more of these, you know, more in-depth breakdowns, especially of the college stuff, we can do it there. Inside information, we've got it there. And also, it's a great way to support this channel to help us grow, because we'd love to be able to do it full-time. We're not doing it right now, but, you know, we're doing the best that we can. And, you know, we feel like the content will get even better if we can do it full-time. So that's a great way to kind of help us out. You know, this is our last tailgate show for the football season. You know, at least for our Vols. We might do one next week for the championship. Who knows? But thank y'all so much. You know, I just want to tell y'all that individually, you know, and as a group, I know all the hard work that everyone has put into this. And, you know, it has been great. So thank y'all so much for joining in, for tuning in. And everybody, we will see y'all after the game. Please make sure to like, subscribe, share this with some more people, with your friends, with your family, other volunteer fans. Hope this is a big one. Everyone should be very, very excited. We're going to see y'all in a couple of hours. Thanks. Peace.